Good afternoon from Yammybtv. Wishing you all well today. Sending loads of love. Looks lovely out there today. I'm about to get out there myself. A couple of subjects coming up this morning. One of them was the old style recesses and living in a cell where there was no sanitation. Because now we know we got sinks and toilets and that kind of stuff. But in the old days, we already know that you had to have a bucket, which you would wee in or do the thing where the sun don't shine in, and you would have to empty it out in the recess where you reside on that landing. Most landings at that time had their own separate recesses, but you know, going to toilet in that cell, very, very smelly, and depending on your cellmate, sometimes people don't want the smell in the bucket, so you would have to go to toilet on a bit of paper and throw it out the window, in which case it makes it even more smelly for all concerned around that environment. So yes, a lot of the times in them early days, I saw quite early that the recess was a hotspot for violence. I mean, in the early days, from Aylesbury to Rochester, etc., I saw at first hand that was a place where you could have a straightener, meaning a fisticuff, or go in there and do each other more damage. My first experiences in Aylesbury was seeing two men argue over the pool game about who was playing next, and then everybody standing round and then them saying, well, what you saying? Who you talking to? Right, let's go in a recess and let's have it. So then, they'd walk away, go into that recess area, and you can't really run around and follow it on association. There's staff around, so you wouldn't be able to go and watch. But even if you did follow around to go and watch, it would be hotting up the situation, meaning that the more people that are going around to look, the more staff are alerted and they would come in and stop it, in which case you end up down the block and charged with an offence of fighting. So yes, that was the early bit. And of course, I went through my own bit as well. One day, I fell out with somebody. He was slagging off my missus at that time, or girlfriend at that time. And I decided that I wasn't going to take it. So overnight, I was thinking about it. In the morning, I came out and I came charging into his cell, and punches were exchanged. I got the better, left him in there and walked out and walked down the landing to see if the coast was clear. Nobody saw anything. And I walked past that recess in Rochester, this one, and saw the boys who were doing their stuff with their wash basins. There wasn't much staff around that morning. And lo and behold, he came charging out of his cell and rushed me in the recess. On doing so, obviously, he came running in. There was a big crowd in there. And he ended up getting kicked and beaten, sadly, and carted off to the segregation, because a lot of the times, you don't want to get caught doing anything by way of violence in there. Some do, because they don't really fancy the one-on-one in the recess or the one-on-one in their cell where there's nobody else there, nobody else to stop it. So they prefer to do it in public, on the landings in front of staff, so they get stopped pretty quickly and you can't get seriously harmed. Or you can get yours in and the other person hasn't got a lot of time to respond, and it gets stopped, leaving the other person that's been harmed feeling really like I couldn't do nothing about it. So those were my early stages of what the recess meant. I saw a couple of older guys at that time, or bigger guys in the YPs, that go in, have straighteners and fights and shake hands afterwards and walk off. Not so today. Anyway, once I reached the adult system, I was very young, got starred up from Aylesbury, ended up there in Wandsworth, and I saw Charlie Bronson have but the first time I saw him have a fight, basically, over the sink in there with the washing basin, some little dooley argument, and Charlie weighed him in, beat him up, a couple of punches, knocked him out. That was my first experience of seeing how it's done in an adult jail with everybody there. Lo and behold, it was my turn. One day, a man was saying things to me through the door, knew him from the out. I had a cellmate that was older, a bit more up to the time than me at that stage. And he was saying to me during that bang up, Yammy, you can't have that. If everybody starts talking to you like that, if someone starts talking to you like that and people hear it, everybody is going to start wanting to talk to you like that. So you better set the record straight and make an example of him. But this was Wandsworth. In the mornings, you got the landing there, staff sit there ready for applications in the morning. You know, we got the grumpy lot waking up in the morning, a feature in there because not a lot of people were happy to be in there. And, you know, the recess is there and I had to walk round. So all night, remember, I'm all excited, hyped. I'm younger at that stage, but I'm thinking I've got to go and do the job. So I came rushing out in the morning, but I'm thinking I'm not going to be able to get away with this, you know, because there was an old saying back in the day as well that, you know, you can go into someone's cell to have a fight, but if you get caught in there, the person whose cell it is gets off a bit more lightly because you're not supposed to be in someone else's cell fighting. So if serious violence occurs in another person's cell, then you could be in serious trouble. And it has happened to me because if the door shuts, you know, you got the bolt on the door where the officers leave it slightly locked sometimes, so you can't lock it shut while you're out. But sometimes the doors are open during association, during the recess thing, because they don't want to keep using the keys to keep unlocking and unlocking doors. But on occasions, on one of those occasions, I got locked in while violence was occurring and I wasn't supposed to be in there. All the other person has to say is, it's my cell, I was protecting myself, I wasn't expecting it, and you are nicked. And one of those times I ended up with further charges. Once I knew of 3 guys who were waiting for a guy to come onto the wing. They were plotting, planning, staring from the landing, knew that, got the information that he was coming across, watched what cell he went in, rushed in there and done real damage, and the door shut because the guy that was meant to be holding the door somehow got it locked. And that was that. I never ever saw them again. That's how serious it can get in there. Those are the hotspots. But 1 second. So the recesses, yes, it's changed now. But it was a regular theme for the hotspots. Like I said, now you've got the sanitation in the cell. So you don't have to, well, the rules have changed anyway, because there's not really, come on, let's have a fisticuff and, well, that's the end of it. It's not really happening like that no more. But the recesses in those days as well, because they used to have the bog brushes that you have to clean out the wee bucket in. So you get a chance to clean that in the morning. But, you know, being the way that we were, you can make the tools of that kind, sharpen the edges and blah, 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 blah. I once saw a man come charging in there expecting to have a fisticuff, and the guy drawed out the bog brush with the sharpened end and stabbed him in his head, and there was blood everywhere squirting and all that. And another time I saw him and those scars were there for life with the stitches from that. So you can never take somebody's word for that. Let's have a straightener to have a fair fight, because it could be a con to get you in there thinking he's coming with his fist, but really he's coming with weapons. So the going into the cell thing, very, 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 very serious. It happens every day in jail. I remember, you know, sometimes I used to be casing out everything on the landings. I remember it happened to me when I was younger, when you're caught unawares in your cell, the door opens and there's 3 men standing there talking some real serious, dangerous talk, like they want to harm you. Oh, I stayed cool. I was shitting myself that morning and I thought to myself, bloody hell, this is when I was younger. But the fear factor of being crowded out, especially when you can't get out of the cell. So, you know, we don't scream, we don't shout. Some people do though. They do scream and shout to try and raise the alarm or whatever, because they're very, very frightened. But on that day when it happened to me, I felt the fear. I know what it feels like. But sadly, as time went on, I became a hardened criminal and used the same tactic, which is intimidation and bullying in a kind of way, or to catch people unawares by turning up at their door when they're not expecting it. So I used to use it. I used to sit upstairs, watch and wait for the moment. You had an argument the day before, somebody wouldn't give me something that I wanted, and I thought to myself, well, I'll go down there, catch him when he's just gone into the cell, push the door open, because it's so funny that when you've got psychological warfare with someone, and it goes on a lot in there, Words don't have to be exchanged sometimes. People you just think or feel is a paranoid environment where you can think somebody's thinking something and feeling something, or he told him something and he came and told me without actually going to approach him straight away. I used to just be able to wait I used to wait until the time was right. You know, cowardy, no rules in prison, I'm afraid. That's the way it runs. And I used to go down there, as soon as you push open the door, somebody will see you and they'll go, wow, like they're shocked. Because they know that they've got something with you, but it hasn't been explained yet. But by seeing you, it opens up because he's thinking, do you know? So then I'd go in there, use them bad tactics I used to use, and say, yeah, have you got a couple of things for me, and blah, blah. Caught him off guard. He'll give you what he's given you, but really he's carrying feeling he could come back on another day for you and do the same thing. These are all hotspots in prison. It's very, 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 very serious. And, oh shit, I've over talked. All right, so I'm going to put this one up, but any more questions regarding the hotspots, just let me know, all right? See you all in a little while. Sending loads of love, okay? Bye-bye.